Crazy Dee, talk to me, King.
Hey, what's going on with you, Chill?
What's happening? Did you? I mean, I'm glad you were able to see some of that, to witness some of that, because
I
and like
wasn't gonna miss it. I wasn't
somebody had
gonna miss it.
told me, they said, Chill, have you, as long as you and Coach Cheeks been rolling together, have you ever actually just sat down and talked to him? And this was actually the first time ever. So
It's it's
talk to me.
definitely our story, of hip hop. I remember growing up listening to club style with Dean Rufus and Cochise, DJ Hawk, LC
Hawk.
Rock,
Wow.
Psychotic Nut, Bud McFarlane, MKM. The first two DJs that got me started listening was Cochise and DJ Hawk. And
Well,
each one
first
of
of all,
them,
D, tell the people, first of all, tell the people who, we having a conversation, but let the people know who you are, first of all. Let them know
oh,
who you are, King.
oh, okay. I'm Crazy Dee from the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, and Society podcast. I come originally from Cleveland, Ohio. Right now, we're stationed out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, making it happen. I own my own retail shop for 15 years called Crazy Dee Music Palace on Harvard Avenue in Warrensville Center in the first southeast side suburb of Cleveland, which is Warrensville Heights, Ohio. Stand up. And hip hop was always my thing. I remember Coach East was talking about stopping into when it was hits. It was called
Right,
hits then,
right.
right? And I remember I had my mixtapes in there, and what happened was I was going down to Dow's Rapid taking my cassettes, right? And then a friend told me, you should go up to this store called Hits. And then who would know years later that I would actually own my
Actually
own
own it.
retail business right
Right.
inside of what was formerly Hits, then Crazy D's. It's amazing. And that's all through hip hop. Going
That's
through the
right.
college campus. I was on Cleveland State's college campus. Alpha by the name of Eric Johnson heard me DJing in the
Right. My
dorm.
man,
Said,
Eric.
Eric Johnson. I'm gonna get you the icebreaker. He got me the icebreaker, and then the rest was history from 90 to 96. The produced music and everything. And then after 96, a year later, opened up Crazy D's Music Palace, 15 years in retail.
And let the
Amazing.
people know how they can follow you right now and all the things that you're doing.
Okay, IG is Crazy D Film Dude, all one word. Twitter is Crazy D DVD. Back in the days when I was authoring DVDs, everything is digital now.
Hmm.
Facebook is Crayzon Deeyon, and you can catch me there, or you can go to lordlandfilms.com, lordlandfilms.com, and hashtag. Everything is united together under one hashtag,
Hmm.
which is hashtag TFR Podcast Live. TFR Podcast Live, hashtag at the front, and it connects to everything on the internet. Let me tell you something, Chill. That history that you put down, we have to have part two. I mean, it is amazing. I remember talking to Coach Cheese back in the day. Coach Cheese heard me on the radio on Cleveland State radio,
Hmm.
and he called. He said, "I'm one of your biggest fans," and I was like, "Who is this?" He said, "Coach Cheese." I could have fell on the floor. I could have fell on the floor. Like I was like, wow. And did he loan me Trans Europe Express when I needed
Ooh,
it?
craft work.
Because I was doing the college parties and I
Right.
didn't get that record yet. I had to order it on import, and he let me use it. And he was like, "I'll stay on 187." And my people stay about a block away. So we had that connection of Lee and Harvard. You know what I mean? So
Big ups
it's
to Lee
just
and Harvard.
beautiful. It's just beautiful history that you put down. The club style show with Dean Rufus and everything that happened and pushing through and history is excellent. And Cleveland hip hop history has to be told. It has to be recognized.
Right. And D, and you can, and like I was trying to tell Coach Cheeks, and like I try to tell the people, we have short-term memory in Cleveland, especially about hip hop. And I get, and even though people forget things that I've done, with when I had the records when I came out 85, 86, and they act as though that the MC Chill was born when my records came out, when actually I had already put in 4 years of work
Mm.
in hip hop. And so people, sometimes recognize me. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. as a hip hop pioneer. But I have to still take them back to the beginning when,
Mhm.
and I said it tonight, and I've said it before. Cochise easily was Cleveland's first hip hop celebrity. He was Cleveland's first hip hop superstar. It was like he had a record. He was a celebrity in Cleveland. Everybody knew who he was. They had his tapes. They knew his mixes. So I always want to make sure that Cochise gets
Gets
his
his just due.
gets his just due,
Gets
because
his
we
magnolias.
forget, right? We
Right.
forget. And so people say, hey, chill, you was one of the first guys you started hip hop. Yeah, but even before then, you know, me and Cochise was coming up together, and he was definitely leading the way. We were in a group together, but like I said, we were the Chicago Bulls and he was Michael Jordan.
I have a question for you though.
Easily. Go ahead, King.
I have a question for you as far as getting your deal, right?
Hmm.
What was that like? Did you have to prove yourself in a cipher? What was that like? Did the East Coast like the East Coast was in the late 80s, early 90s, kind of covetous of the art that they had created? Did you have to prove yourself, or was it open arms at first?
Well, it was and I appreciate that question, because and that's a story unto itself, because I mean, as far as Cleveland was concerned, I had been rapping, one of the one of the first rappers in Cleveland as a member of the Bomb Squad, and doing the radio. But when I got my deal, I was discovered by Mr. Magic. So,
Oh,
Mr. Magic at the time, for people who don't know Mr. Magic, he basically created the rap radio format. Uh, his name is forever immortalized in the Biggie song when he talked about Mr. Magic Marley Marl, and Love Bug Starsky, which is also part of my story. But Mr. Magic was in Cleveland with Roxanne Shante and my man Tyrone Williams. Big ups to my big brother Tyrone Williams, who we later became Fly Ty, the owner of Cold Chillin' Records, who signed Big Daddy Kane and MC Shan. The whole Juice crew was
mhm.
on Cold Chillin'. But he and Magic were in Cleveland with Shante. Mike Chapman was driving the WDMT van, asked me did I want to ride. We were already making we were in the process of a regional deal. And so we already had songs, had demo songs, probably what amounted to maybe Busta's Rhyme, Prophecy,
Mhm.
and maybe I don't even know if it was MC Stories, another cut called Children's Rhymes, which
Mhm.
nobody ever listened to that on the album. But we had about 3 songs. And so Mr. Magic, Mike put the cassette in, and so they hear me on there rapping, and Mr. Magic is like, who the hell is that? He's heard every rapper there is. He's Mr. Magic. He does the 108. This is live. This is live. So my phone is ringing. Let me holler at my kids or somebody. Okay, they
Mhm.
got the phone. So Magic asked me, could he take the tape back to New York? Probably about 2 weeks later, I'm in DC at a Kappa national convention, and I get a call from my mother saying, you got to come back home. They want you to be on Fever Records. And I'm like, Fever Records, Love Bug Starsky live at the
Yeah.
Fever,
Yeah.
and iconic Bronx label from a
Yes.
iconic Bronx club, the first hip hop club of note on the planet, the Fever. So by me coming in the door with an iconic label, from an iconic club, the Fever, being brought in by Mr. Magic, the only people at that point I really had to prove myself to was the people at the Fever,
Okay.
because Love Bug Starsky was leaving the label, getting a major, and that's we get caught up. We need to know the difference between major and national, and you know this. It's an industry term. When somebody says major label, it doesn't just mean national. It means, like, at the time it was you either on Warner Brothers, Capitol, it was Atlantic, but so you could be national and it's still not a major label. But anyhow, he had moved on to one of those labels. So it seemed to the people at the Fever that they had traded their beloved icon, Love Bug Starsky, for a dude from Cleveland. So they had never had anybody not from New York City, probably not from the Bronx on the record label. There had probably not ever been anybody not from the East Coast on iconic New York label. So I really just had to prove myself to the people at the Fever. But I knew my history. I knew my history of hip hop, my culture. I love and respect for the culture. I knew everybody that was in there. I knew all the DJs, all the old school MCs. You walk to the Fever, you see like Kool Herc at the Fever. So that was a history lesson. So I could have been on bigger labels, but I would have never gotten that history and been accepted into that Bronx culture like I was. So, but I came to rock. Like, I did the shows like Quarter, Rooftop, all of those places in New York, Roseland. So we went and we rocked. I had a beatboxer with me, I had a DJ. So, we got our respect, even though I had to go through the whole thing is that they thought I talked funny.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't from New York. But yeah, so I had been MCing for 4 or 5 years already. So, but yeah, I really just had to prove myself to the people.
Plus, you were bringing a new style, right? Because it was the hoo-ha and you don't stop and the group rhymes where they kind of like chant it together.
That's right.
Yours was more of a free-flowing type style.
And I had, different styles, and we can talk about that at another show.
Yeah.
But I contributed, what I could to the culture, especially with MC Story, where I was my homage to being an MC. So, it is what it is. I'll never trade those days. And it was good to have Cochise on, and always good to see you, bro. And like you see me always dropping when I see you, I know I owe you to get in there and do something on your platform.
Yeah, we definitely want you to come on to the film review. You know what I mean? Because the history, telling your story. Because we want to get your story, and then we'll hook it up where we can be something like this. Because usually I have the phone in, but we can do something where we have split screen and we can go for it.
Okay. All right, D, I appreciate you, bro. Much love. Do your thing, and just get me on that platform.
All right. Talk with you.
All right.